We've got a We've got a whopping 250 registered today, a nice mixture of people. Just for those of you that don't know me or us, my name is Honor, and I'm from Honor Way, doing the European representation for Zambian ground handlers. And I'm here today with my speakers, Nick, Aslin, and Danny from Zambian ground handlers. Thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We haven't done one of these in a little while, but it's really nice to get going. You know, things are really picking up for us all. We're getting some nice new inquiries in, as well as obviously postponed travelers. So it's all looking a lot more positive. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to just go through the latest updates on travel to Zambia, how things are looking, any new news, but also go through any updates at Zambian ground handlers, the website, and social media, which is Danny, who is the absolute whiz for this. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. It would be really great if you could put all your questions in the question and answer session, box, and then we can go through all of that after Danny and Nick have spoken. We will also be recording this session so that anyone who has maybe missed it, obviously you're not with me right now if you have, but anyone that's missed it or anyone that would like to share it with their teams, you can then do that. But we'll also put some useful information in that as well. So without further ado, we've got Nick first, who's going to sort of not introduce us back into Zambia, but sort of, you know, just recap on travel to Zambia and general information, as well as new news and updates for Zambia. And then Danny will kick off with latest protocols and social media, which is her expertise as well. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Nick, who will share his screen and get started. Thank you so much again, everybody, for being here.
Good, thank you very much, Honor, and thank you everyone that has tuned in so far. Good of you to join us this afternoon. And as Honor says, we thought it was just a good idea to give you a bit of an update on what's happening in Zambia, what's happening at Zambian ground handlers. Now that if people haven't really started traveling again yet to Zambia, they've certainly started promising to travel this year. So we're getting quite busy at the moment and excited for what we hope will be a busy season ahead. Now, before we get into the presentation this afternoon, many of you will know me, and we may have met in your office, in my office, or at various trade shows over the years around the world. But what you probably haven't done is met most of my team. So I'm just going to carry you next door, if I may, into the office. And I just want to quickly introduce the Zambian ground handlers team, those of them that are here today. Let's see if we can get the light right on this and get everybody around. Who have we got? Are we in close? There we go. We've got Maggie, front and center, William Banda, got Nosizi, and Gerald. Hi. And we would normally have Evie with us, but she's on maternity leave. We're looking forward to having her back in the office next week. So anyway, I just wanted to do that, introduce you to the team so you know who we all are. And now we can get down to the business end of the afternoon. Right. Bear with us. Hopefully the technology won't defeat us. And we're off. So, am I there? Okay, where am I? So that's myself and Danny. We're going to be talking to you this afternoon. We're going to try and keep it as brief as we can, but definitely we want you to be able to get as much out of this afternoon as possible. So please do, as Honor mentioned, put questions into the question and answer box, and we will deal with those after the presentation. So we'll try and stick to about half an hour, and then we'll have some good interaction and some questions afterwards. So let's go. In case any of you, we're not showing, can people see us, do you think? They can, good. There we go. Right, just in case anyone's in the wrong webinar, we're going to be talking about Zambia. And if any of you can't put it on a map of Africa, then you can now. So I always like to start with that slide just so we know what we're talking about and where we're talking about. It's changed quite a bit in recent months and over the last couple of years, but international access to Zambia is becoming back to somewhat normal at the moment. We've got fewer flights than we're used to, but all the international airlines are flying in. We've got Qatar, which is the newest arrival into Zambia. They're flying into Lusaka from Doha. We've got Emirates back online, and Ethiopian Air, incidentally, have been absolute stalwarts throughout the pandemic and haven't cancelled any of their flights. They can continue to serve Zambia very well from Addis all the way through the pandemic. So that was great. And then a lot of people accessing Zambia from the south. ProFlight and Airlink fly between Lusaka and Johannesburg. South African Airways, if we're ready to trust them again, they're back in the air and servicing that route. And there's a new development. We've got a new national airline, which started flying in November last year, Zambia Airways. They currently are running a very limited schedule, and to be honest with you, we haven't started using them yet, but I do expect to do so fairly soon. We've got a meeting scheduled with them tomorrow to plan the way forward. And so they are servicing Livingston from Lusaka, and very soon we'll be flying into Johannesburg as well, and we'll be rolling out a slightly more comprehensive domestic schedule as well. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. We will do that and keep you posted as and when there's anything to tell in that regard. So that's the international and the domestic routes around Zambia. Now, what I wanted to do, just to get you into the mood of things, really, Danny's going to talk a little bit later about some of her social media stuff and the videos that she makes, but she really does create some wonderful videos. So I wanted to show you one that she's created for today. I don't want to waste too much of your time, but hopefully you'll enjoy this.
Standing our ground. Standing our ground.
There we go. Excellent. Thanks to Danny for that. So one of the things that I wanted to cover today is to take you through some of the new camps that have come online in Zambia over the last couple of years. Some of them that I'll be talking about are not brand new, and others are. The first one we're going to look at is a brand new camp, hasn't actually been finished yet. It's in the Lower Zambezi National Park, and it is going to be operated by African Bush Camps, who most of you will know from their several camps in Botswana and Zimbabwe. They operate Thorn Tree Lodge in Livingston, and they're having a soft opening in May with an official opening date of the 1st of June at their Lower Zambezi camp called Lolobezi. It is located, this is the map of the Lower Zambezi National Park. It's very close to Jeki Airstrip, literally just 5 or 10 minutes drive through the bush from Jeki Airstrip, which sets it in between Sausage Tree and Potato Bush, which are these two camps here. And then this is one of the Tuscan main camps, and Old Mondoro further downstream here. So it's located in the middle there, right close to Jeki Airstrip. The numbers, rather than putting all the names, we've taken this map from our website, and if you look at our website, it would have a log telling you which camps those were. Now, these pictures of Lolobezi are artist impressions at the moment. We've spoken to African bush camps, and I am led to believe, and I do believe them, that the camp is pretty well constructed. and I don't think that they're going to have a problem with their soft opening in May, and they're hoping to get a few agents through after Indaba and We Are Africa, and an opening in Angor on the 1st of June, as I say. It's going to have 8 rooms, 4 of which will be interconnected. So there'll be 2 sets of family suites, if you like, and then 4 standalone rooms. And I think you can see from the renders here that it's going to be quite a stylish camp. It's going to be very high end. They've got a decent opening offer price for this season. So there's some value to be had. And I will do my best to get into the camp sometime in May so that we can give you a full report on what's happening down there. But we think that that's quite an exciting addition to the portfolio of camps in the Lower Zambezi. The second one, also in the Lower Zambezi, is Zambezi Grand. Now, that is not actually a new camp, but it makes it onto this section of the webinar because it is under new ownership and has had a complete revamp. It's located outside the park, upstream of the park, in this location here, in between Royal Zambezi and Baines River Camp, so outside of the national park, which starts here on the Chongwe River. As I say, complete revamp. It's not a camp that we have used much of until now, but with the new ownership and the revamp, again, we'll try and get down there quite soon. Gerald from the office here did visit the camp a few months ago, and reports are all very good. So we're looking forward to adding that to our list of camps in the Lower Zambezi as well. So as I say, not a brand new camp, but new to our portfolio, if you like. We are going to move up to the South Luangwa now. We've got a little bit of development going on in the South Luangwa. The first one, long awaited. They've been building for 2 or 3 years now. So the pandemic didn't come at such a bad time for Sungani because they've been under construction during that time. And they're now absolutely ready to open this season ahead. And they are in the southern part of the South Luangwa. So if you can see the cursor here, these red camps are all the Bush Camp Company camps in the south, and Sungani and its sister bush camp, Kulandila Camp, are located to the south of the Luangwa River, right down the bottom here. And this, for those of you that know, this is where wilderness safaris used to operate for a few years in the South Luangwa, so that they've taken over those sites and built what we believe to be really a very stylish camp. It is quite remote, so you're not going to be running into anyone else down there. And they do include air transfers from Mfui Airport in the cost of the camp. So you typically would fly guests in and out from Mfui, or charter them up from the Lower Zambezi, which I think is probably going to be a good route in for many when combining the Lower Zambezi with these 2 camps. These not artist impressions, so the camp is ready to welcome guests, which, as I say, they will be doing from the beginning of this season. So that is quite exciting. How many rooms have we got? Sungani is 7 luxury tents, and Kulandila has 4 rooms. So that's the smaller of the 2 camp there that we're looking at, Kulandila, but very stylishly presented, as you can see. Moving back up through the park now, Chikunto Safaris. This, again, not a brand new camp. It opened in 2019, I think I'm right in saying, but didn't have much going on before the pandemic, and obviously nothing the last couple of years. So they are located just north of the main Mfui sector of the park, on the western bank of the Luangwa River, before you get to the Lui River and the Time and Tide bush camps, which are located on the Lui River and on the main Luangwa, a little upstream from Chikunto Lodge. So 5 rooms, one of which is a double roomed tent, so maximum of 12 guests catered for Chikunto. And as you can see, again, very stylish, very clean, German engineered camp, this one, and enjoys a lovely position on the Luangwa, and we've got people going in there this season, and we look forward to working with Chikunto Safaris. The Bush Camp Company, again, they've squeezed into this section by virtue of a complete revamp of one of their bush camps, Kuyenda. which again, if you can see the cursor, the red camps are their other bush camps. Kuyenda is the most northerly of their 6 bush camps. All of the other camps have 4 rooms only. Kuyenda has now been extended and it has 6 rooms. It was by far the most rustic of their 6 bush camps, and it's been brought up in standard to match the level of luxury in the other camps. So a complete revamp at Kuyenda, and that will be reopening for the first time this season. It's probably going to be useful because it has better availability than the other bush camps, which are already quite hard to find space in for this season. So we're starting to push people towards Kuyenda, and I'm very happy to do so as well. And the last camp, I think, on our list of new camps for the Luangwa is operated by Green Safaris. Their expanding portfolio of camps has reached the Luangwa now, and Shawa Luangwa camp is located pretty close to Chikunto, but on the other side, on the eastern bank of the Luangwa River, again north of the main Mfui area, but downstream from the Nsefu sector here, where you've got the Robin Pope camps, Tenatena and Nsefu. So Shawa Luangwa is elevated rooms with these tents you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there. The tents, the sides open up, and rather like their other camp in the Busanga Plains that we're going to look at the moment, you get a feeling of being elevated up in the tree canopy, and it's a very nice outlook from those rooms. They've got a pontoon which takes guests over the river and into the park from Shawa Luangwa camp. Again, good to combine that with their other camps in the Kafui and elsewhere. So that is expanding. They've got Kayamau in Malawi and Tongabezi in Livingstone as well. So we'll move to the Kafui and to the other Green Safaris camp, Chisa Busanga. Now this, we were looking forward to the arrival of this camp, and I went and stayed in it towards the end of last season, and a lovely camp it is. It's up on the Busanga Plains, on the edge of the plain. So that's the location of the camp here, and these are the other camps, the Wilderness Safaris camps, and then this is Jeffries and McKeith down at the bottom of the plains. So they're located on the edge of the plains. These quirky elevated bird's nest rooms, which are great fun actually. I went with an open mind and I really loved them, and you definitely feel as though you're in the tree canopy, and a very different room to any that you will have stayed in elsewhere. So that's a good addition to the Busanga Plains, Chisa Busanga. So that's it from me for the moment. You'll see a little bit more of me later on. I'm going to hand over to Danny now, who's going to take you through. You'll hear from Danny.
Thanks, Nick, and hi everyone. So the parts that I'm going to chat about are more website orientated and social media orientated. So on our website, we share all of the 2022 specials, and the reason why we've just posted all of them is we want you to know that when we are doing quotations and costings, we are finding the best deals around, pushing everything that the camps do offer us. So when we do send through quotations, we will combine the best specials for your clients, and all of these can be found on our website under specials. Talking about social media and selling Zambia through it, we have seen a huge increase in followings, especially from our Instagram and our Facebook. So a couple of our videos have gone quite viral. We've had one that's reached 1.5 million views, and we gained a lot of followers from that. And what I've done, especially for this webinar, is I've created a Dropbox link, which I will pop into the chat, with a couple of our reels for you to use as tools to sell on social media. And I think that if you want to reshare it, it's a great way to boost Zambian tourism and to gain a few more followers. I have added TikTok in there because I'm sure a lot of people are wondering why it's even there. It's just a dancing app, but it's not. It's one of the fastest growing apps on social media, and a lot of big brands are on it. So it is a great tool. And I will send a Dropbox link. I will post it on the chat where you're able to download all of our videos that we've created, and you can of course reshare them. A couple of trade shows that we will be in this upcoming trade shows is our Africa Travel, which is March.
Last 2 weeks of March.
Yeah, last 2 weeks of March. We are Africa in May and Experience Africa in London. Nick will be attending in June. So if you are going to those trade shows, please pop us an email. We would love to meet up and catch up with you. A couple of COVID-19 updates from Zambia. So all that is required to get into Zambia is a negative PCR test taken no longer than 72 hours from your country of departure. There is a new airport testing with a 1 hour turnaround time, which is $100. We can organize that for you, and our airport representatives can assist with all of that. And the latest COVID figures that we looked up today are currently in Zambia, there are 32 people hospitalized with COVID in the whole country, and 90% of those 32 people were unvaccinated. So it's quite interesting. This is just a website walkthrough. So our website is designed to be a one-stop shop for Zambia. So we have our Meet the Team, who we are, how we work, and who we are affiliated with. We have destinations, and under each destination page, you'll find all the camps and the operators. So it's very easy to just click through and read a write-up of each camp, which Nick has personally written, and all the thumbnails are downloadable high-res images. So if you click on the thumbnail image, a download high-res button will appear above. Also on our website, we have more details, which is under the information tab, and on that we have our COVID-19 updates, our visas, and 2 new tabs we're very excited about are our interactive maps. So this is what Nick had previously mentioned. So it just shows you where each camp is, and then when you click view, it takes you to that camp page itself. And seasons, talking about the best time to visit Zambia, the rainy season. Then there's also money, health, what to pack, and terms and conditions with a downloadable PDF. We also have an availability tab with, if you check on our website, our username and password is right next to the login. And all camps that use res request are on our website. So if you just click on the camps that you would like and the operators and the days that you would like to travel, then you're able to check availability. And this is a great tool if, for example, with time differences, this especially applies for those in the States. If we are not at our desks, it's very easy for you to check what camps are available and then pop us an email and say, I had a look at your availability. I see Bush Camp Company has space. Please may you hold these dates for us. And then we are happy to do all of that for you rather than wait 24 hours or however long for us to get back to you with holding space. And that is everything on Zambia. We'll do Q&A now. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Nick and Danny. Yes, now's the time for any questions. You can pop them in the question and answer session in the box. We've had one from Priscilla Plummer that says, do you expect there to be flights with seat rates from Livingston and the Lower Zambezi?
Hi, Priscilla. Hope you are well. ProFlight are not servicing the Livingston direct to Lower Zambezi or the other way around this year. They pulled that after the sort of planning stages. So they are offering South Luangwa to Lower Zambezi direct, but not the Livingston route. It just wasn't viable enough for them. Not enough people were wanting to use that flight. Royal Zambezi Air Charters do offer seat and plane rates between Royal and Livingston, but I think I'm right in saying that is only once, possibly twice a week during the peak season. So that's not really that useful. Other than that, no, you're going to be looking at a charter or scheduling through Lusaka, which is always doable, because all you got to do is get to Lusaka, and if there isn't a connecting scheduled flight, it's never too much of a burden to charter people between Lusaka and Lower Zambezi, because a chartered plane is not too far off the cost of two scheduled seat rates. So that's possible. And it's worth mentioning also, we're using a lot of sausage tree and potato bush. They've got a 4-night special. When you spend 4 nights in either camp, they will provide the flights to and from wherever you are wanting to get to in their new planes. So yeah, if you're in Livingston, you go into sausage tree or potato bush, let them take the strain.
And do you know what Zambia Airways will be expanding to? Is there any hints of that one yet, or is that just a wait and see?
Well, I asked them about Mfui, and they suggested, like I mentioned in the presentation, I do actually have a meeting with Zambia Airways tomorrow, so I'll know a little bit more after that. But I asked them about Mfui and whether they expected to fly to Mfui this season, and they don't at the moment. They're expecting to bring that online in 2023. So currently, their only domestic schedules are between Lusaka and Livingston, and Lusaka and Ndola, which is a commercial town and not one that we're interested in from the tourism perspective. So yeah, very limited schedules at the moment.
Thank you. Danny, you've had some lovely comments about your video. So thank you very much. She has popped it in the chat, but we will also be putting a link in the follow-up to this webinar so that everyone can have that link again and any other useful information. I'll also pop a link to the specific specials page as well, so that we've got all of that together. The next question has been from Michelle Hoffer, which is, can you drive to Basanga or is it just flying?
You can drive to Basanga if you want to combine the Basanga with other camps in the Kafue to the south. If you are simply wanting to stay on the Basanga Plains, it would be a fly in and fly out destination. If you wanted to combine with Ila Lodge, for example, or Musakesi, south of the Basanga Plains, then it's possible to do driving transfers between the camps. Equally, you can fly between the camps as well, because it is quite a long drive from Ila all the way up to, in the central part of the Kafue, all the way up to the Basanga. So most guests that we work for would fly in and out.
Yeah, I've done that drive. It's about 6 hours when we did it. It was beautiful, but it was a long drive.
It was. I agree with you. It's an interesting drive up through the park, but I got up to the plains and decided that I didn't want to drive back again. So yeah, but that's why.
Yes, if you're going to do it, it's definitely a one-way thing, not both ways, because you do see a huge variation in the landscape going from the middle to the north, but it's a long way. Because I did do it all, and I think we did in total about 12 hours driving all the way around. Okay, so what chances are there? This is from Rob Slater. What chances are there that Zambia might drop PCR entry requirements? Is this a realistic hope, or are you resigned to the status quo for the 2022 season? Can you tell the future through your crystal ball?
Well, I had a meeting with someone quite influential about a week ago, and I did suggest that I wanted to ask that we could be the first African country to drop the requirement to have a PCR test, but we were beaten to the pit by Botswana, who got there a few hours before that meeting. It's on the agenda, but unfortunately, there's quite a lot of hoops you have to jump through in a country like Zambia. The ministry need to get involved. So yes, it has been broached, and we are holding out hope that any time now they could choose to drop PCR testing requirements. I don't think it's going to happen in the next few weeks, but I do think it'll happen in the next couple of months. So hopefully before the season gets seriously underway, but we're just going to have to watch that one and see what happens.
Thank you, and fingers crossed for that one. ProFlight, this is from Kate McIntosh, said ProFlight is my biggest hurdle in planning a Zambezi itinerary. Do you have any recommended itineraries where the potential for ProFlight schedule changes are 0 to minimal?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard plenty of complaints that ProFlight are you know, their lack of a heavy schedule this year is hindering tourism, and you can't deny that. But you also can't deny a private sector company the desire to stay in business. So they're being prudent, and they're not putting on routes and flights that they don't think will be economic. And no one has known, and still doesn't know, exactly how many people are going to be traveling this year. And one thing that we have been able to rely on from ProFlight over the nearly 30 years that I've been dealing with them is that they don't chop and change. They don't put schedules on and then pull them at the last minute. That's not what they like to do. So they have been tentative with the schedules that they've released for this season. And they were also understandably concerned about what might happen with the new national airline, Zambia Airways. And they are unfortunately receiving government subsidies and are able to sell tickets quite cheaply. So they will impact on ProFlight's profitability. So the short answer is no. You can't really rely on anything. But I personally, I work very closely with ProFlight, and I'm a big fan of theirs. And I think we need, as an industry, need to support them as best we can. Because they do their best to support us. There are ways around the lack of schedules, and when you're booking your itineraries for Zambia through a company of experts like Zambian ground handlers, we will come up with some answers for you, so don't worry.
Thank you, Nick. We've got just a quick one on the COVID testing. This is from Megan Huntoon. Is the new COVID testing location at Lusaka Airport, and is it just a PCR test?
It is a PCR test. I'm not sure about what just a PCR test. It comes with the required Ministry of Health authorization, and they're promising a 1-hour turnaround. And because of my commitment to the tourism industry in Zambia, I will be going to test this facility out on Saturday morning. Nothing to do with the fact that I'm going on holiday the next day, but yeah, I will be going to test it to make sure that it's all functioning properly and that they turn it around within the desired 1 hour. So, yeah, but at the moment it is working, and it's working perfectly reliably.
So. Thank you. And then we've got Martin Mayer that says, hello, Nick, Honor and Danny. With the Kenya Airlines and the Qatar flights, do you recommend an overnight in Lusaka prior to safari departure?
No, Qatar arrives very early, but it leaves in the evening. So we would aim, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
I'm not losing my mind. Yeah. So no, we would normally aim to get guests into Lusaka in time for that flight. Yeah.
Great. Eduardo Ponce, he says, what is the best way to get to Kafue National Park? I think we've kind of covered most of that with the Basanga Plains question, flying or driving in. So is there anything you wanted to add to that, maybe?
If you're going to start, if we're putting itineraries in the Kafue together that combine various camps, it would be most typical to start in the center of the park at Ila or Mukambi or Kaingu, and then either drive or fly from there, finishing off at the Basanga Plains. So access to that central part of the park is a 3.5-hour drive from Lusaka Airport. So that keeps costs down. And if you're going to that central part, then we would normally offer road transfers. But equally, you can fly into Chunga airstrip, and that cuts the time and the hassle down. But certainly once you get up to Basanga, as we discussed a moment or two ago, then you want to fly out from there.
Great. Just on back to the COVID situation, where Sally Moon says, what happens if you've had COVID, recovered, but still have it in your system? Can you carry a doctor's letter saying that you're recovered? Excuse me.
Bless you. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't actually had guests that have had that problem, that have have tested positive after they 2 or 3 weeks, and if they're still testing positive, it's something that a lot of people have expressed concern about. But our personal experience of guests that we hosted last year, that hasn't happened yet. We haven't had anyone stranded. We had a couple of people that tested positive, and luckily in each case they were proved to be false positives, because we very quickly had them retested, and they got negative results each time. So yeah, so far so good. If you are stuck with a persistently positive test, then yeah, I guess a doctor's letter, and again, we're in the right place to talk to the right people and try to get exceptions to the rule, and that's always a possibility.
Thank you. Rob, Sam says, is the mobile testing facility at Mfui still operational?
It's a company called Nature by Nature. They withdrew their facility at Mfui Airport early on in the rainy season. I am led to believe that they are reinstating it this weekend. We've got some guests that are planning to be tested in Mfui in about 2 weeks' time, and I'm reliably assured that they will be operational. So yes, as of this weekend, they should be back operating in Mfui. And they will go and test guests in the camp. I mean, obviously guests can be taken to the airport, but in most cases we would arrange to have the staff go and visit guests in the camp, take their swabs, and have their results ready for them to pick up at Mfui Airport when they depart.
Okay, so that kind of also answers Janine Albrecht's question, which is there anywhere in particular, anyone in particular you would suggest in using for tests coming into the camps?
Anyone in particular? We've done a lot of tests of guests in Lusaka, and so we're on top of that. It does change, and when this new ministry facility opened up in Lusaka Airport, that became the testing facility of choice for guests that we were handling. And if they need to be tested remotely in Mfui, then as I've just explained, there's a facility up there. So again, when we're controlling an itinerary, if something should change, then we're in the right place to amend plans and to make sure that guests are going to get the paperwork that they need for travel. But I should say that the requirement to have a test in order to leave Zambia is not that common these days. We've got some people going through to Zimbabwe in a few weeks' time. They will need a test, obviously, because Zimbabwe require one for entry. But guests going back to the UK now wouldn't need to have a test if they're on Qatar or Emirates. If they're routing through South Africa, they would need to be tested because of the South African requirements. But when you leave Zambia, you simply have to adhere to the requirements of either the airline or the country of your destination, and that normally dictates the airline's procedures as well.
Okay, so that just on the Lusaka testing, what are the operating times and days at the airport?
At the moment, they are operating that facility from 10 in the morning until 8 at night, 6 days a week, not on Sundays. So far we've been able to plan around that quite easily, and there are other facilities in town that we can take guests to if they need a test on a Sunday. But what we wouldn't be able to do at the moment is bring guests in on a Sunday for a quick turnaround through Lusaka Airport to depart. If they needed a PCR test, they would have to come in with enough time to get them into town and do a test there, and that the turnaround time for those tests is a bit longer, so that would be unlikely. But again, we discuss this with everyone when we're putting itineraries together, and we amend the itinerary according to what is currently possible and what is not.
Great, thank you. Again, we've touched on this one with Gillian Maskell. She says her clients are concerned about being tested positive in Zambia before returning to SA and or Europe. What is the situation then in terms of quarantine places, etc.?
There's no requirement to quarantine at all in Zambia. If you have a positive, if you don't have a negative test and you need a negative test in order to fly, you're not going to be able to board the aircraft. However, there are no rules in place to say where you may or may not stay. So again, if that were the case, we would need to jump around and organise some accommodation. And it's all a little bit more relaxed here now than it was in the height of the pandemic in terms of where you might go and what you might do if you were in possession of a positive test result. But yeah. Great.
Okay, well, I think that looks like that's wraps up our question and answers. Is there anyone else that has anything? Oh, is there another one? Yeah, we've got one more. UK FCO advice says departing Zambia must have PCR tests, etc. This seems to be out of date or wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is out of date and wrong. I'll bring it up with the British High Commissioner here, but unfortunately, I've done that previously. And there's nothing he can do. The British government, the people in Westminster, or wherever they are that write those Foreign Commonwealth Office advisories, are only able to act when they are given instruction by a foreign government. So it needs the Zambian authorities here to officially and proactively write to the British government and give them the latest state of affairs. So I'm better off talking to the Zambian government than to the British High Commissioner, but the right people in the government are less accessible than the British High Commissioner. So we have in the past asked for London to put pressure on Zambia to give them the latest information, but equally it's a slow process. But yeah, at the moment that information is incorrect, I'm sorry to say, but it is. Yeah.
All right then. Okay, so that's all the questions dealt with, I think. We've got some nice comments about the website, so thank you very much. It looks amazing. Other than that, just to recap, what Danny and I will do is put together a little follow-up email with a recording of this webinar for those of you that did have some problems, and that will include some videos and information that you can use where needed. And you know, if you did need any sort of videos and things like that, Danny is always creating new ones. She's also got all the information as to who has been included in those videos, so that you can also, when using them, tag not just Zambian ground handlers but the relevant camps where needed. So you know, whatever you need for your websites or for your social media, please give us a shout, because we've got, well, Danny has a huge bank of amazing things. So you know, give us a shout. Other than that, I've got Dennis saying thank you very much for an informative latitude expedition, and lots of thank yous, but also a big thank you to all of you for joining us today, taking the time. And if you've got any questions, you can always email either myself, Nick, or Danny with anything that you need as well. So a huge thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Absolutely, and we can back that up. Thank you all for attending. You'll all get a link to the recording. And please do just drop us a line if there's anything you think of afterwards, or if you've got any bookings for Zambia. But thank you for your time this afternoon, and we'll call it a day there. Thank you, and thank you, Anna.
Thank you both as well. See you all soon, hopefully in Zambia.